during the Enlightenment, there was kind of evocative imagery which contrasted different approaches to education. One image is education as being like a vessel into which you pour water. And as you all know, it's a pretty leaky vessel. Every one of us who's been to school has gone through this, and you memorize something for an exam, and it all leaks out the next day. You weren't interested in it, you didn't pay any attention. A week later, you can't remember what the subject was. So that's one image. The other image that was used was that teaching ought to be like laying out a string along which the student can progress in his or her own way, discovering rather than just memorizing. So there's some structure, like there's topics that you want to cover, but design them in a way so that the process of going through, of gaining the understanding and information is one of a creative individual activity in cooperation with others often. Well, that's the Enlightenment idea. The pouring water ideal has a name now. It's called No Child Left Behind, or Race to the Top, which is exactly what it is. It kills interest, it deadens the students, but it makes them more passive and obedient and not too much trouble. At least that's the idea. And it can be done. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but there are very good models where it's achieved. I'll give you one model that just happened to be discussed in the journal Science, the main journal of the American Association for Advancement of Science. It just had a series of editorials by its editor on the destruction of science education in the country through No Child Left Behind type measures from kindergarten to university. So get the kids to memorize something that they don't understand and don't care about, like the periodic table or the enzymes that metabolize something, and kind of memorize it and write it down. You go on to the next thing. No joy of discovery, no invention, no conception of why anybody should do this ridiculous, boring thing. But it does, you get past the exam, and if the teacher's salaries, let's say, or survival is dependent on this, they don't have any choices either, not many at least. Well, that's one way to do it. And the same series of articles does suggest alternatives. It was not necessary to suggest alternatives at the university level because they're actually done. So at a place like MIT, for example, lectures aren't intended to be poured into a vessel. In fact, the standard doctrine is it doesn't matter what you cover in the course, it matters what you discover. And you discover it in your own way, and you learn how to discover. The sciences couldn't survive if that wasn't pursued, at least at elite institutions. So it is. But you can do it down to the kindergarten level. And in fact, the editor, Bruce Alberts, discusses a kindergarten program, which he suggests as a model. It's for 5-year-old kids. It's a program where the kids in a class where each kid was given a small dish which had in it pebbles, shells, and seeds. And they were supposed to figure out which ones are the seeds. And so the first thing they did was have a scientific conference, as they called it. Kids got together, thought of various ways in which you could test to see which were the seeds, and they tried some of them, they didn't work. They tried others, they worked better. They exchanged ideas, improved them. Finally, they got to the point where they had figured out what the seeds were. And the next step was to give them all magnifying glasses and crack the seeds so they could look inside and find the embryo, which was the source of the energy that makes the seed grow. Okay, those kids learned something, not only about seeds, but about discovery, about how to go on to the next task and why it's fun to do so and important to do so. That can be done. Any of you who have been teachers know way more than I can say about this. Well, it could be done at any level, but it has a defect. It empowers the teachers instead of humiliating them, which is very important, and it enriches the lives of students. and prepares them for creative, independent lives, not passive obedience. Well, all of this is more failure by design. And again, the word design is quite crucial. There are alternatives. There are successful models in our own history, elsewhere. We should be able to progress well beyond those models, but only by dedicated struggle, not passive acquiescence while all of this goes on before our eyes. Thanks.